Roosevelt Boulevard is one of the most important and at the same time most dangerous arteries in all of Philadelphia, carrying millions of drivers every month. It's also accounted for a large number of car accidents, including more than 130 pedestrians struck, resulting in 20+ deaths in just 5 years. State Farm Insurance has in the past put out a list of the 10 most perilous intersections in America, and 2 from Roosevelt, Red Line Road and Grant Avenue, have the dubious distinction of being on this list number 2 and 3 respectively. I'd like to welcome everyone to our 26th Philadelphia Accident and Injury Google Hangout. My name is Rene, and today Rand Spear, Philadelphia's car accident lawyer, will be joining us to talk about this treacherous roadway and his experience with pedestrians injured in car accident cases. Hey Rand, how are things today in Philadelphia?
Oh, it's a beautiful sunny day in the mid-80s here in Philadelphia. Great weather. It's really a nice time of year to enjoy the city.
Well, I'll live vicariously through you today because it's overcast and rainy here in Florida. What is it about Roosevelt Boulevard that seems to encourage recklessness on the part of drivers, causing many, many car accidents and also making it so dangerous for pedestrians?
Well, there's really a couple reasons why there are so many accidents and so many deaths that occur every year on the Roosevelt Boulevard. Number one is it's a very, very wide street. Most of it is at least 12 lanes wide. And the second problem that we have is it really runs right through all of the major neighborhoods. So what happens is you have a situation where you have these very, very wide expressways of 12 lanes or more. Vehicular traffic is going very quickly because it is an expressway. There's lots of red lights and green lights and stop and go traffic. And you have children who live right there, right on the expressway, or right next to the expressway. And so they need to cross the street, either to go to school, or to go visit friends, or to go to an event. And unfortunately, with cell phone usage, I'm finding so many of the kids are talking on their cell phones or texting and not really paying attention. And that's really the key, is you really need to pay close attention when you're crossing the Roosevelt Expressway. You should only cross at the crosswalk, and you should make absolute sure that the vehicular traffic has come to a complete stop and it is safe for you to cross. And the other thing is, don't start crossing that street when the light turns yellow. You're not going to make it to the other side before the light turns red. Even though you can stop in the middle, there are grassy knolls in the middle, it's still a better and a safer habit to wait for the light to turn green and then proceed across the street, making sure that all traffic coming from all directions have stopped. It's just so unfortunate. It's such a heartache every time we get a call from a family about a child that's either been very seriously injured or unfortunately killed on the Roosevelt Expressway.
Well, it sounds like Roosevelt is a recipe for disaster if you're not paying attention. Does your firm have a lot of experience handling car accident cases that occurred on Roosevelt Boulevard? And maybe you can tell us about one of your more challenging and rewarding cases where your team made a real difference in the life of one of your clients.
Well, over the 30-some years that I've been practicing, I've handled dozens of cases that have occurred on Roosevelt Boulevard. I believe it's the #1 street for accidents and fatalities in the city of Philadelphia. You know, it's heart-wrenching when parents come in to see us and the child is so badly injured. We immediately conduct an investigation. We want to know if there's any witnesses. If, you know, where did the vehicle strike the pedestrian? Was the pedestrian in the crosswalk? You always want to be in the crosswalk. That's very important. And so we really want to make sure that we gather as much information as we can at the beginning of the case because as time goes on, memories fade and evidence is not preserved, and it's always best to get as much information as you can. And so that's essentially what we do. We make sure that whoever it is getting proper treatment. If they need to be in a hospital, if they need to see an orthopedic surgeon or a neurologist, whatever the case may be, we want to make sure that they're getting the best treatment possible. And I will tell you that here in the city of Philadelphia, there are a lot of wonderful hospitals. There's University of Pennsylvania and Jefferson and Drexel and Hahnemann. So we want to make sure that they're getting the best possible care. And then we want to investigate and make sure we gather all of the evidence. And then we normally would bring a lawsuit in order to seek compensation to compensate our client for what happened to them.
Is there a specific process that the firm does to handle pedestrian injury cases that were a result of being hit by a motor vehicle? Maybe you can tell the audience how that works.
Well, you know, we look at each case differently because generally speaking, the facts of each case are a little bit different. And so what we do is find out, did the ambulance come? Is there someone, you know, that we could contact at the ambulance company? Again, are there any witnesses? Where is the property damage? Were they struck with the front of the car, the side of the car? Were they riding a bike? What was the traffic signals like at that time? Was it a daytime injury? Was it a nighttime injury? So basically, it's a matter of, just in most cases where there's either an auto accident or a pedestrian accident, we want to gather the evidence and put together as many facts as we can so that when we do go to court, we can establish that our client was crossing in the crosswalk and that the defendant was negligent, disregarded a red light, made a turn, didn't observe our client, caused the accident, and should be held responsible for the damages.
Oh, that makes sense. What steps or how can a pedestrian that's involved in a car accident, collision, take to help ensure that they have a strong case if they were not the at-fault party?
Well, it's funny, but really the best procedure is to take action before the accident happens. And by that I mean really pay attention when you're crossing the Roosevelt Expressway or any street for that matter. Put down that cell phone. Stop texting. You can start texting when you get to the other side of the street. Look at the lights. Make sure you have the green. Look at the traffic. Make sure that all vehicles are stopped. Don't expect or assume that they're going to stop, because very frequently when vehicles are going fast and they're on the expressway, and keep in mind it is an expressway, sometimes drivers will blow through the yellow light. They'll want to catch that light, so they speed up rather than slow down. So don't expect that the vehicles are going to act properly. Ensure that they're going to do the right thing. Make sure that they are completely stopped before you cross the street. Pay close attention, and to me, avoidance is the best medicine of all.
Well, that sounds like great information to prevent these happening, at the get-go. If you have a case in Pennsylvania or New Jersey related to a car accident or any other accident or injury, please call Rand Spear, the accident lawyer, at 888-373-4 and the word law. Or you can also visit the firm at www.randspear.com. Rand, thanks again for sharing your experience and knowledge with our audience.
Thanks, Rene. It was great speaking with you, and I hope we can cut down on the number of accidents on the Roosevelt Boulevard.
Well, I think it's important information for our audience to know about Roosevelt. I want to thank everyone for participating today. I invite our audience to come back and hang out next time when we'll be discussing a new and important topic. That's all for now, and goodbye. But before we go, remember, information contained in this video should not be construed as legal advice. Content is for information purposes only. Nothing contained herein shall constitute an attorney-client relationship.